Sully is an old man.
Old as fuck.
So old he doesn't even play in his own draft league.
Yeah. I think he's what the kids call retired.
Damn. Anyways, hello and welcome. We are the Clodcast, and we're gonna cover BTL once again. PRs are a little late, as usual. We are not the best people with time, but yeah, here we are. We're gonna cover the PRs and go through every team 16 to 1. The PR system has changed a little bit. It is now basics, offensive core, defensive core, and support, and then that gives you your total. And Terra Captains are also now displayed on screen. So, without further ado, we're gonna jump into team number 16. And if you have followed the draft, you probably know who's coming. It is Shinobi Fox 101, aka Penis. And Terra Captains
This is a team of all time, and I mean this in the funnest way.
And Terra Captains are everything not named Greninja.
Yeah.
The reason for this is Sully
let me explain it. Yeah, you go.
Sully has implemented a funny rule. Not only does this league ban a type every season, which I think, what was it this time? Fighting?
Fighting.
Yeah, fighting was
Fighting.
banned. This time he also thought, hey, let's do something funny. Why not make every Pokemon 3 points and below for free? And you can Terra it for free as well. And Penis completely ran with the gimmick.
By the way, there was a point in the draft where people were just saying, I'm done with draft. I was like, you guys do realise you get a free mod. Read the doc. Like, I think half the draft said, oh, I'm done draft. I was like, you guys get a free mod. Just pick a random mod. Why are you not drafting?
And Penis...
But yeah, Penis was like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah, Penis was like, fuck it. He picked 3 mons that cost something for him, and the rest are free. Goddamn, holy shit, what has he created?
I will say this, for a team that's basically made of basically 8 freewheel mons and 8 lower tiers, like super lower tiers, this is not the worst team you could have. I think this is probably one of the best teams you could have made out of what he made it out of. If that makes sense.
Yeah, let's talk about the team. First of all, the basics. You're missing Ghost, Dragon, Fairy, Normal, and Ice type. Ice, obviously not a necessary typing. He doesn't need a normal type because he has 2 dark types, so I think it's okay, although they are not defensive dark types, so that brings a little bit of an issue. Then Dragon is
No, Morpika's living.
You sure? If those 58, 58, 58?
Yeah.
Then he doesn't have a Dragon, which technically isn't a necessary typing, but helps with elemental resistances. No Ghost type, but he has enough fighting type switch-ins technically, so that's not an issue. And for normal type, he has one very good normal type switch-in. He has no fairy type, which is also a big issue because his only switch-in is a stack attacker, which is probably gonna Terra most of the time. Speed tiers are very good though. Honestly, except for the gap between Entei and Greninja, everything's pretty good.
Yeah. Even got him on above 130 as well, like.
Yeah, let's get into the offense, shall we? So, for physical offense, we have Stakataka. We have Entei. We have Greninja. We have Morpeko. We have Ninjask.
Basculin, no, I will say this. Basculin actually hits a lot harder than you think. Yeah. And Terra Water actually can hit like a truck. So that is actually something that is worth respecting. And spoilers for week 1, because we're not going to be covering week 1, I don't think, or anything like that. I don't think we have time to.
I mean, we do have time. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
But probably not today. It's going to come in next week, probably.
Next week, yeah. I'll just say this. Basculin can hit very hard, and Pikachu can also hit hard with Light Ball.
Yeah. For the special offense, we have Exeggutor, we have Pikachu, we have Basculin, I guess. We have Entei, and we have Greninja.
I will say this: I do like Executor on this team because the Trick Room with Stack Attacker actually kind of works. So I don't actually. I think Executor is actually a low-key a fire pick. Because at first I thought he was going. I thought when I saw Penis pick Executor, I was like, oh, that's a weird early pick, but maybe he's going for some kind of Sun Trick Room thing. So that feels like a very Penis thing to do. And I saw Penis pick Rapika next, and I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, interesting choices of Pokemon. Well, let's get... Well, the offense, he has at least 2 Mons on each side that are above 100, so it's passable.
I think the offense is not too bad. The problem is the defense.
So let's go over. What would you classify out of all of these Mons as a defensive Pokemon? A good defensive Pokemon. Good defensive Pokemon.
That's a Perch Marini, I guess. Marini behind Light Screen and Reflect.
So, as defensive Pokemon, we have Marini, Executor, and Stack Attacker, basically. Because the rest are not defensive Pokemon. You cannot tell me otherwise. Entei might be good into some specific niches, and a little bit more defensive set, but it doesn't get recovery, so...
I guess Wishcash and Absolute, you are really coping push, but yeah, there's like... Even one of their better defensive ones in second tour is 4 times weak to U-turn.
Yeah, but he can't Terra. Like, he can Terra every single one except Greninja.
Yeah. Which obviously makes prep a bit interesting, I will be honest.
Yeah, Support is pretty good, though. Hazards are great.
Yeah.
Removal's okay-ish. Momentum's
for
pretty
what
good.
he got. Yeah, like he, and also
counting,
to be fair, he does have.
I'm not counting Pikachu with support, by the way.
Yeah, we're not counting that. I will say he does have Prankster Volbeat, which it's not as good as Illamuse, but like it can do stuff, and it can give him Sunny Day for Chlorophyll a second tour, and Terra Fire Entei stuff.
Yeah, then
so there is that at least.
You have Trick Room, you have good momentum, you have Knockoff, I guess.
Yeah, he has Knockoff. I mean, Marini's not really running much else, so
this team is a whole ass mess. I cannot lie. This team is just.
This is a hot mess. This is honestly like for what he did. This is. I'm not saying this is a good team, but for what he did, this is probably one of the best teams you could make out of it. So fair play. I respect it.
You know, I respect it too, but honestly, if you're running with the gimmick, just drop the Greninja, Entei, and Stack Attack, and just go full in. Just go all in on the gimmick.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I half agree with that. I will say this. I know I play this team, so I definitely have my prep's going to be interesting for this team. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Interesting team. Let's say that. Interesting
team of all time.
Next up is me. This, by the way, according to actual stats, my team is not as bad as we put it. But because Roy ranked me, I don't rank myself. I make a point out of that. But,
yeah.
Roy ranked me so high that I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna tax myself 2 points in every category, so fuck you.
I actually do think legitimately this is a very good team. Like, I actually do rate this team. I think it's top 5 minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of threw the whole team away already because I was like,
yeah,
this team is too much Ben core. I was like, okay, let me try something new.
Yeah.
Hello. So yeah, I dropped half of the mons on this team, but like we can still go over the team a little bit. Typings wise, I'm not missing anything important. Can't have a fighting type, and bug is not important. Speed tiers are good. I don't have any gaps. Like I literally don't have any gaps.
Yeah.
Then offensive core, physically I have Garchomp, I have King Gambit, I have Delmise, I have some niche Nidoking sets, some niche Thundurus sets. Especially I have Noivern, Thundurus, I have Florges, I have Slowking. So physically definitely better than specially, but yeah. Defensive core is consistent of Florges, Dhelmise, Slowking, Colossal, which I think is pretty good, honestly. And there's
I
also
agree.
some niche situations where, like, if I face a good ghost type, I bring Double.
And Double does have some very fun niche stuff you can do. You can do Cotton Guard, Body Press. It also gets some other stuff as well. It's quite a fun mon.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
necessarily good, but fun.
Yeah, then we go to the support where, as you can see, I have a massive amount of hazards. Like, holy shit, I think I might have went a little overboard on that.
He basically so we did the AGDL video. And basically what Ben did is he took all the hazards from that league and put them in his team.
Yeah. So I have all the hazard setting I need. I have all the removal I will ever need. My momentum is pretty ass. Can't lie. It's Slowking, Noivern, and Thunderous, and sometimes Floor just Baton Pass. I do have Wish,
because
which is
double
cool.
never really runs. Double never runs Baton Pass because you can't do stat passing.
Yeah. I do have Wish, which is pretty cool for Colossal. So yeah. And I have a Trick Room mode with King Gambit and Dhelmise. I also have reliable knockoff clickers. I have Chilly Reception, which supports the Sandslash, Alola, and the Thunderous. But, like, I threw the whole team away, so we don't need to talk more about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
Roy said this was a top 5 team. Kind of agree, but anyways, this team is not here anymore, so yeah. Now then.
Basically, Persona Grass.
This
was a
Dark
team.
Comet. This was definitely a team.
Where do we start?
Why don't you go over the essentials for now? The basics.
Well, so they are missing quite a few types. They are missing bug type. That doesn't really matter. They are missing fire, but obviously no. The problems come into it. They don't have a fire type, which would be fine because they do have a poison and they have a steel type. Except their poison type is poison dark, so that means it's neutral to fairy, and their steel type is steel and dragon, which also means it's neutral to fairy, which means they don't have a single fairy resist. Where fire type might help with that, even though it is a rain team or at least a rain mode. And also, they don't have a single fairy type. And because their steel type is steel and dragon, they have no resist to dragons either on this team. And also, their ghost. Oh, they also don't have a normal type. And their dark type is a Drapon, which is all right, but they are very weak to ghost spam.
Yeah.
Speed tips are fine. Speed tips are fine, to be fair. Some gaps, but not massive gaps.
Yeah, obviously the biggest issue, not having a fairy type or a steel type that is that resists dragon, makes outrage spam disgusting into you.
And just a spoiler, guys, there is a team that has Trevor Reggie Drago. So basically, Reggie Drago has a free time. I will say, having this will probably force them to actually bring Eldegoss in some matchups as Terra Fairy, just so they have an answer, or Terra Steel. Which their three mons are Eldegoss and Rampardos, by the way. Which Ben did not draft a team weak to Rampardos this time, so.
I mean, even my new team isn't weak to Rampardos, so yeah.
I don't know what Rampardos is doing on the rain team though, but
it was probably just a slap on, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To be fair, a few of them are just like, oh fuck, I got points. Why not?
Should have probably slapped on a fairy type, but whatever. Let's go over the offensive core, which is obviously going to be pretty good on a rain team. Physically, we have Dragapult, Iron Boulder, we have Mega Swampert, we have Veluza, we have Rampardos, and we have Glastrier. And especially, again, Dragapult. Thunderous Therian, we have Archaludon, we have Pelipper, and some niche Mega Swampert sets, although it's never going to run special, being real.
Yeah.
Now then, As we've mentioned before, the not having a fairy type is pretty bad for the defensive core, as you don't have a single dragon type switch, and you have one ghost type switch, and while a good one could be better, you're also pretty rock weak, you're very dark weak, so Drapion has to carry the load of dark and ghost types. But the big thing is obviously no single fairy resist and no single dragon resist.
Yeah. It just makes certain matchups where, like, certain things just kind of spam into you. Like, for example, and not to harp on the one I already mentioned, but Regidrago, for example, that can just run Specs Dragon Energy, Staff Dragon Energy, and just start nuking stuff because you don't have a resist. You've got like Dragon Spam as well, like stuff like Haxorus can go in free into Garchomp, that sort of stuff. They can just spam Dragon moves, click Outrage for free. If you've got nothing that can resist it, it's just super easy for them to run away with games.
Yeah, exactly. So you have you have a big detriment in the fact that you don't have a single mon that resists dragon or fairy, just like Moonblast spam or Outrage spam. Like, it's disgustingly effective into you.
There's a reason the fairy type was made, guys.
Yeah. Then for support, obviously Rain supports this team. Makes a lot of mons better than they are. You have good knockoff support. A few mons that can click knockoff reliably, a few that cannot. Momentum support is pretty decent. Removal is pretty decent. Setting is okay-ish. Wish support would have been cool for some of the mons, like Drapion and Archaludon definitely like wish support, or like healing wish, but you have neither, so that's kind of rough. And yeah. That's basically it for support. Like, Rain carries the heavy load. Rain and Momentum carry the heavy load here.
This is one of those teams will rank super low, but they have a chance of making playoffs because some teams just have a super bad matchup into Rain. But there's other teams that can just win on the spot because of the weaknesses with the team.
Yeah. And this is what Mega Dragonite should have looked like. Not the goofy shit we got, but anyways.
I mean, I don't mind it being goofy. I'm not a hater of this. This, by the way, this might be the lowest I've ever ranked a support team.
Yeah,
genuinely.
Roy absolutely hated it. Anyways.
I don't hate the team, but I hate the support. Like, the support is just abysmal.
Anyways, number 13, the Nuse. Typings, you have everything except fighting, so can't complain. Speed tiers, pretty good. Big gap between Golden and Crocalor could be avoided by getting something that is in between that, but it's okay because most mons in those tiers run Adamant or Modest anyways.
I will say this. You know how Rose said on the video the other day that someone was just grabbing mons just to fill certain types?
Yeah, this team feels like it a little bit.
Yeah, that's what this team feels like. But it does have like the base. The basics are down. The basics is not my problem with the team, nor is the offensive core.
Yeah, the offensive core is pretty good. Physically, we have Azelf, Ogerpon Cornerstone, we have Mega Kangaskhan, Crocodile, Baxcalibur, Golisopod, especially with Kilowattrel, Azelf again, and Golden Go. So offensively, it's nothing to slouch at, definitely. Defensively, there's some issues, of course, because your defensive core consists of Pheasantipede, Crocodile, and Mega Kangaskhan, basically, because the other mons are either not well equipped to be defensive mons, or have something that holds them back as defensive mons. For example, Golisopod with the emergency exodus makes it not be that good of a defensive Pokemon.
It's really not good bulky water. Like, and what that's what I mean. Like, that's not good bulky water. You've got, I mean, Crocodil's not bad. Like, I don't mind Crocodile and Munchlax as like free picks. They're actually quite good free picks. But yeah, it just you know when you look at a team and you just feel it's off straight away.
Yeah. Roy was definitely hating on the support. Hazard support.
I was hating on it.
Hazard setting support is okay. You have knockoff users, yes. You have occasional momentum. You even have wish support. But I think why Roy ranked it so bad is the specific reason that you don't have any removal.
None. Like, there's not even. But there's a team of that we criticised that had Delibird as their sole removal or Glamour as their sole remover. This doesn't even have one remover. Rocks go up, or like spikes go up, or sticky webs, or toxic spikes. They're staying. Well, toxic spikes will be removed by Serendipity, but any other hazards, they are staying on the field. The only way that this team would have things removed is if the other person clicks defog, and do you know what they have on their team? Goldengo. So people aren't clicking defog often.
Yeah, and the other issue is obviously as well, while you have okay-ish hazard setting, like Crook is a good rocker, Azef can be a backup rocker, and the other two can spike if they want to. You don't have a real hazard spammer with Goldengo together.
I don't even rate Golosopod. So this is why I was such a hater on this, okay? So like I'll list my reasons. There is this isn't like me being I actually am being harsh to us. I probably could have rated it a bit higher. But like for example, you've got a mon that basically blocks defog on the same team as a competitive mon. Bit anti-synergy, but that can work. You don't have great hazard setting as well. And honestly, in this situation, you'd probably, if you're going to have no removal, you want to basically force the other person to have to remove the hazards for you, or at least so you can match their hazard game. This team really doesn't have the capability of doing that. Ogrepon Cornerstone is a good lead spike setter, but it's getting up one or two. It's not getting like spamming the full hazards up. As soon as they remove that, if they can catch out, you catch you on the right turn, they get rid of those hazards, and then it's all gone. Like also as well, like I think Megacan's good is a very good wisher, but their pivoting's fine. It's not the greatest. I think if it had stronger pivoting, I think it would work a bit better.
Yeah. You need a remover. Somehow, some way.
Just a remover, and you add a remover, and this goes up by 4 points. Generally, I'm not even kidding. Well, not any remover. If you add like I don't know Folbeat, then I'm not going to freeze it by like about a few points.
Volbeat is
but
taken.
if you get a D, even a mid, yeah. What's that say?
Volbeat is taken.
I know. That was the first one that came to mind. If you get something like I don't know, Rotom Frost, and change the terror on it to terror or something, then I'll be like, okay, the removal's fine. It's bearable. You can do stuff with it. But the lack of removal really hamstrings this team a lot immediately because it's just so easy to set up hazards against them and then just slowly just whittle away at them.
Yeah, for
Even
sure.
with Mega Kangaskhan, which I rate highly. I love Mega Kangaskhan.
I feel like this team definitely has some big issues in the supportive department. I don't think it's as bad as Roy made it out to be. It's still very bad because no removal means your team is automatically always on the timer unless you run all boots, which some mons can't run boots, like the Cornerstone and the Kangaskhan. They cannot run boots. And some mons don't like running boots, like the Crocodile. It likes the Eviolite, for example. So yeah. You're just...
Crocodile needs Eviolite.
Yeah, you just put yourself on a unnecessary disadvantage, basically. Because you just getting one solid remover would be good enough to make this team go up a huge step.
Yeah, I was very harsh on this team. I ain't going to deny it, but I also think the lack of even having a bad remover really makes it free for like good preppers, and there's good preppers in this league to just run away with things on against this team.
Yeah, definitely. Now then, let's jump to the next team, which is number 12, and it's David. So, David's Terra Captains are Comfey, Regidrago, and Murkrow. Here's the Regidrago team we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Typings-wise, you're not missing any necessary typings. You can't have a fighting type, and Ice, Bug, and Rock are not important, so that's pretty good. Speed tiers-wise, you have a massive issue. Actually, two. Your max speed is Ambipom, which is bad. And your lowest speed is 70 with Skarmory. So you're weak to very fast mons, and you're weak to very slow mons. That is two issues you would ideally want to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the basics are so even if you have the typings filled out, that is like a huge issue you don't want to have.
Yeah, because they do have a Trick Room mon as well, but like it's Comfey, which is never running Trick Room. I will say this as well. Like they do have Prankster. Well, Murkrow if it ever comes. I think generally they were going to not pick the last one. I did tell them just pick a mon, so they picked Murkrow. But yeah, just honestly, I will say this: Comfey probably does help a lot, but we'll get to that in offense.
Yeah, let's just jump to offense right now. Physically, we have a little bit of an issue because your highest physical attacker is Ogerpon Wellspring, which is already kind of because you want something that is like an actual nuke. Ogerpon can hit very hard, yes, but you don't have like a straight up nuke from the get go. You have Brambleghast, which hits okay-ish hard. Then you have Ambipom, which can hit relatively okay. Then obviously the Terra Regidraco helps a lot with if it gets a setup up. And then the special side is a lot better. You have Monkey Door, you have Sandy Shocks, you have Chi-Yu, you have Comfey, and you have again Regidraco, which can also run special sets. So the special side is definitely better, but the physical side definitely needs some improvements.
Yeah, I would say Comfey priority helps with the speed weakness issue because Comfey can basically be very handy. Like, let's say a team doesn't have a single fairy resist. Well, that's a field day for Comfey. Ironically, this team might have the best matchup I've ever seen into a rain team, to be fair, just looking on paper. But being serious, like, yeah, Comfey does help the speed issue. And the offense is pretty good. It just, again, yeah, it's minus like Chi-Yu because Monkey Dory just does not hit like it should do. It's lacking immediate power. I also think, by the way, actually, I'll wait to support till I get to that as well. Actually, I'll wait till support.
Okay, let's go over the defensive core first. There's also a little bit of an issue. The defensive core consists of Tapu Fini and Skarmory, which is obviously, those are two good defensive mons. But how many other mons in this team are you considering defensive? Ogerpon is bulky, yes. Sandy Shocks is bulky, yes. But are they true defensive mons? No. The only two true defensive mons you have are Tapu Fini and Skarmory. Which, of course, are great mons in their own perspective, and they do balance off each other somewhat. But you do have to keep in mind that they are both weak to electric type moves. So your main defensive core gets destroyed by electric type moves. That's where Sandy Shocks, I guess, comes in, because you can run it bulkier and help with that. But you do have to be very careful.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like, you just have to like consider stuff like with this team. I don't think it's the worst defensive core I've ever seen, but you have to keep things in mind.
Yeah. And now to the part where Roy wanted to speak of earlier, the support.
Yeah, so I think the support is good, but one thing that stands out to me straight away, Monkey Dory has a signature ability called Toxic Chain. Very fun ability, can help put stuff in range. Kind of anti-synergy with Tapu Fini that sets up Misty Terrain.
Yeah.
Bit of an anti-synergy there. I will say this, you can David probably has considered this and will probably run Frisk most weeks for that reason, which actually is quite a useful ability in draft and might make Monkey Dory good, but it's a bit anti-synergy.
Yeah.
The rest of it, though, is very good. I actually do. I will say the defog is a bit fake, in my opinion, and I'll explain why. The defog is Finny that never really wants to run it, Skarmory that doesn't really want to run it because it'd rather set spikes and hazards, Murkrow, which is a 3-pointer that probably is not going to bring much, and Comfey, which usually is better as a setup sweeper but can run it. But it's 4 like options, so it's fine. Browngrass is a decent spinner.
Yeah. The hazard setting is also pretty good. Like, you have Skarmory and Sandy Shocks, which is already pretty much enough you need for hazard setting, but you also have backups like an Ogerpon and Brambleghast, which can help. Knockoff support is okay-ish. Fini can fit knockoff. The Ogerpon and Ambipom obviously love knockoff. And then Comfey never runs it, really. You do have some good, pretty decent momentum support with Ogerpon and Ambipom especially, and then Monkey Dory helps as well with Parting Shot. Comfey in niche situations could also be ran with the U-turn and Volt Switch. Sandy Shocks is obviously there. So you do have some good points about the support, but Roy has mentioned there is definitely some anti-synergy.
It's why drafting with Tapu Fini is very hard, because it's very easy to basically like have anti-synergy with Tapu Fini just because of how Misty Train works as a move. And actually, I just realised another one. Regidrago, what's his best feature? Dragon Spam. What does Misty Terrain do? Reduce the power of dragon moves.
Yeah. That's also a big part, because you have a Regidraco, which with Dragon Small obviously gets a buff to dragon attacks, but then you have also Misty Terrain, which then nerfs it again, so kind of minus synergy, really.
Like it's not that the Mons are bad. It's not that any of the Mons are bad. Well, Amipom sucks, but Mercury has uses. But like, just a few of the Mons as it goes down are just very anti-synergy with each other, and they just don't work well as a combo. Which something that David has to bear in mind when bringing them is like his dragon attack. If he's in Mystic Train when he's cooking dragon attack moves, they'll be weakened. He also will be less likely to get Toxic Train triggers if he's got Mystic Train up. So it's stuff like that, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, that is number 12, David. Which brings us to number 11, Zane. And honestly, I didn't think this team was as bad as it looked on the first part, but then after some investigation, the team has some issues. Okay, let's start with the typing. So you do technically have
just to point out the Fremons. Oh yeah, so the Fremons are Glimmet, Bolton, and Greedent, by the way, which are actually pretty good ones for 3 points.
Yeah. Now to the basics. You have every typing, although some mons don't fit. They fill out a typing, but not well. For example, you have Glimmet as your poison type. You have Sableye your Ghost and Dark type, which is kind of fake, but I guess it's there. Your Soul Ghost type switch is Greedent, which will have to come into every massive Ghost type matchup. Then for the speed,
I will say for context, this person does love Greedent a lot, so he's one of the Greedent is God people. So he does. So Greedent will come to matchups, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with you on that as well. I love Greedent, but you probably want another Ghost switching as well.
Yeah, we have the obvious fact that this like the top speed tiers look good, but there's a huge gap between Glasgow and Glimmet, which you would rather avoid because there are some strong mons in those. Like something like, for example, the Nidoking I had originally would be running Modest in such a case. So yeah, something you would rather avoid, but I guess it's okay. And Bolton is kind of fake for top speed because Bolton's not really a good Pokemon, but yeah.
Yeah, I would say in this format where you get it for free, it kind of works as a free mon. He did originally have Seb Striker there, which I think is a better mon. Shout out Seb, but I think he just wanted it because it's faster, which makes some sense. It gives him because I think it will come to a matchup or two since it was a free mon anyway. So
yeah, let's get into the offensive core. Physically, you have Ogerpon, you have Palafin, you have Kyurem, and you have Mega Mawile, and especially you have some niche Palafin sets, some Mew sets, Kyurem, of course, and I guess Glimmet.
Yeah, Glimmet hits surprisingly hard, like for like what it is, but that's still neat. I think with Terra, it might actually hit like a truck, but it's still niche. And it's only going to get one hit. It's not going to get multiple.
Yeah, I do think the special side is definitely hard carried by Kyurem. I think the physical side is a lot better than the special side, but I think with you can most of the time get by with just Kyurem. But yeah, let's move on to the defensive core where there's some issues to be seen. Your defensive core consists of Araquanid, Greedent, Gliscor, and Mew. While I would say Araquanid and Gliscor are good, Mew is more of a supportive Pokemon, and Greedent is like a situational Pokemon. So most of the defense will hang in the balance of Gliscor and Araquanid, which is okay to it's a pretty good defensive core, but you also have to be careful because freeze dry spam is very viable into you outside of like Mega Mawile.
Yeah.
And then we jump and then we jump to the support, which is actually very good, especially the hazard setting support. Like, look at that. That's probably even nastier than what I had. To be fair, one is kind of fake because it's a Glimmet and it's basically there to just put up the hazards and die.
Yeah, but it still can set the Toxic Spikes free. Just as well, doesn't get Mortal Spin, so it doesn't add actual removal. But honestly, yeah, I think Glimmet works here as a backup like setter. Gliscor can set it. Mew can set it up in matchups where you want to bring that as well instead of bringing like an offensive set. Even Heartflame can do it as well. Mega Maw's not going to run rocks, but you don't really need it to on this team.
Yeah.
I would like a spinner on this team. That's the only flaw I can see with the support. And a Wisher, maybe, just to help with Arachnoids.
Yeah, Arachnoid definitely appreciates Wish support. The other defensive ones like Gliscor and Mew can recover themselves. Greedent, I don't know. Does it get recovery?
No, it doesn't. It gets cheap. It gets cheap pouch. So it can go up to 100% with berries, but not an actual recovery.
Okay, so yeah. So, Wish would be appreciated on the Arachnoid ingredient, but I think Gliscor and Mew will be fine without it. Momentum support is pretty decent. Hazard setting support is obviously good. You have a lot of good knockoff clickers. So yeah, only gripe is not having a spinner, because you'd rather not get your own hazards away most of the time. But yeah, that is Zane at number 11. Which brings us to
pretty solid team.
Yeah, which brings us to number 10, Sky. Sky has an interesting team.
I would say this are the 2 free mons in their team are the Spidops and the 2 Cannon.
Yeah. So, let's go over it. Typings wise, you're missing Electric and Poison. Electric, while not necessary, can be nice to have. And Poison is pretty bad not to have, because T-Spikes. People love not drafting Poison types, apparently, recently.
Yeah, I would say on this one, it's not the biggest weakness, because you've got Cinderace at roster runs boots. You've got 2 steel types, 2 mons off the ground, so it could be worse. Not saying it's. I still think the T-Spikes can do some work into this team, but I've seen teams way weaker to T-Spikes at least. So there's at least that. But they do have a big problem with one of their speed gaps, which is, oh my god.
Yeah, Blastoise to Zoroark. Let's put that into perspective. Something like Garchomp, something like Landorus Incarnate, they will run Adamant or Modest. There's like a lot of threats in those tiers that you do not want to let those things happen. So yeah, very rough speed gap. Very rough speed gap. That plus the not having a poison type is what puts down the basics so much. Offensive core. Physically, we have Cinderace, Mega Diancie, some Zoroark, Suicides, Bisharp, Aegislash, Toucannon, Torterra, and technically also Blastoise because Shell Smash, and also Cloyster because of Shell Smash. This team has, by the way, 3 Shell Smash clickers. Interestingly enough. Especially, we have Mega Diancie, Latias, Zoroark, Blastoise, and some niche Cloyster sets.
Cloyster can run mixed as well, to be fair, with Shell Smash, so there is that. I think, I don't know what coverage Torterra gets, but I know Torterra can also occasionally run the odd move to hit certain things as well. I will say this, Toucannon, for a mon that's basically like a free mon, can hit surprisingly hard, and also Beak Blast has some niches as well, where it can also burn you and then just hit you with 120 base power, let's say Terra Flying move, that's double stab. So there is stuff, when we get to support, there is stuff on this team I do actually like a lot, which I'll get to. Bit more niche stuff, but I actually think this is a team that has good synergy, even if it's a bit iffy on the basics.
Yeah. Let's go to defense first, though. For the defensive core, we have Latias, we have Blastoise, we have Bisharp, we have Cloyster, we have Aegislash, we have Torterra, technically, and Toucannon, technically. So, some good, some situational defensive mons.
Torterra kind of needs Terra to be a good defensive mon.
Also,
it can sweep without it, but it needs it to be a good defensive one, in my opinion.
Yeah, you also don't have any too big any weaknesses that look too big on the type chart, so it's pretty okay. The only thing to mention, obviously, is not having T-Spikes, which will whittle your defenses down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Not having a poison type to switch into those T-Spikes. But yeah, go ahead with support, Roy.
So one thing I like about this team is, and Ben's already mentioned the 3 Shell Smashers. What Sky has that really does actually help and makes them even more. And actually, a lot of his mons are set up for it. Is Soraka-Sui, which can play a lot of mind games and and basically either enable them to sweep because they think it's a Soraka-Sui, or the alternative is lets you scout what their answer to that is and scout out Mirror Hermons. I think that's a very good tech on this team that really helps with the team. Because, put it this way, let's say, for example, you see the Torterra that can sweep you. If you don't know, you go to your Mirror Hermon. No, bam, sorry, I knock it off. I match you, Sorakasui. That's actually a very good tech that's kind of underrated on this team. And it can also disguise as other threats. Also, the hazards are quite good on this team. Bisharp and like Mega Diancie would prefer not to say it, but I think Torterra. I will say all the rockers are decent ones. They're not like ones you always want to run rocks on, but at least it's an option. Phytops is a great. If you bring it, you can just bring it utility, and with Terra, you can also make it Terra Ghost to block spin as well, which is a underrated thing to do as well. I did not know Cloyster got toxic spikes. Now that's new.
Yeah.
And the removal. Yeah.
I always knew it got both spikes. Removal.
Oh, did it got? Oh, damn.
Removal's also pretty good actually. Like Cloyster and Blastoise can both spin in a semi-reliable way. Blastoise is more reliable than Cloyster, but yeah. And defog is also not too
Court
bad because
change.
Toucannon can defog reliably because it mostly doesn't need it doesn't have like 4 move slot syndrome a lot, and Latias can be a good backup. And obviously court change, as Roy has mentioned.
Yeah, because Toucannon basically, if it's coming offensive, it's often coming Beak Blast, probably Skill Link with like Bullet Seed and Rock Blast.
Yeah, and then we also have pretty good momentum. We have wish support. We have good knockoffers. Yeah, we even have healing wish in niche situations. So yeah, I think this team works pretty well with what it wants to do. Obviously, I would probably want a poison type on it though.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing it's missing. I think this team is definitely important to getting hazards up as well, so you can scout for certain stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that is Sky at number 10. Which brings us to number 9, who's Aaron.
His three mons are Seb Striker and the Secator Alola. I think I was the one who picked the Secator Alola for his team because I thought it fit well for his team.
Yeah. Typings-wise, he's missing Ice, Psychic, which are not important. Ghost, semi-important, but he has good normal type switches, and there's no stab fighting, so it's okay. And then the big thing is he doesn't have a fairy type.
Yeah.
While he has a good switch into Dragon moves in Ferrothorn, he has to be careful of some coverage moves, like for example a Flamethrower on Garchomp, as an example.
Yeah, because also none of the mons really work as a defensive fairy as well. I mean, a second to a Lola, a push could maybe do it, but none of his terrors really work as a defensive fairy. Seb Striker, I've actually run in some. I've used Seb Striker Draft Leads. I've used it with Terra Fairy, but that's not to be defensive. That's there to hit, like it hit, because Electric as a fairy can hit really well as a combo.
Yeah. Speed tiers wise, it looks there is huge gap between Manaphy and Umbreon. Like,
yeah, that's another massive problem.
35 point speed gap is definitely not ideal. Not even more. It's 35, so anything slower than slower than Manaphy will just run Adamant or Modest, basically.
Yeah.
Now then, let's get into the offenses though. Physically, we have Lycanroc Dusk, we have Centiskorch, we have Executor Alola, we have Zebstrika, we have Tornadus, and some niche Cyclizar sets. And then specially, we have Torn T, we have Zebstrika again, we have Manaphy, we have Ursaluna Blood Moon, and we have Executor Alola again. So special side definitely better than the physical one, but Lycanroc Dusk with Terra can definitely put out a lot of damage for the physical side.
Yeah.
Then to the defensive core, which I think is the best part about this team, you have Ferrothorn, Weezing, Umbreon. You have Torn, which is a blanket switch, and Cyclizar, which can be a blanket switch into some things. Then you also have Manaphy, which is already very bulky. Centiskorch with Terra can be pretty bulky on the special side, and with coil sets even on the physical side. Ursaluna Blood Moon, bulky physically, especially not so much, but yeah. So I do think the defense is very good, and also a lot of defensive synergy on the team as well.
Alolan Secretary can also be quite bulky mon as well, like especially with like harvest bullshit too. I will say this: one way I would tweak this team is I would, if you could, probably find a way to drop it at Center Scourge, and I'd actually put Terror on like Umbreon because then that gives you a mon that can immediately just Terror into something that's one of your weaknesses. Because Lycanroc doesn't even always need the power. Like, I think that's the only way I'd tweak this team.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the speed tier, but
yeah. Although I like Center Scourge, it's a weird fit on this team.
Yeah.
And now for the support, which is probably a bit of a weak point. You do have Trick Room with Alolan Exeggutor to support itself and the Blood Moon Ursaluna. You do have lots of good knockoff. You have Wish. You have decent enough moment. Hazard removal is actually pretty fine considering you have a very good Rapid Spinner, a very good Defogger. A backup would be cool, but not technically necessary. Hazard's Ferrothorn carries the heavy load. Lycan can, in these situations, run rocks, and T-Spikes can come on Weezing.
Let me just double check something a second, because I feel like I know Weezing Galar gets it. Does Weezing now get it? No, it doesn't. Okay.
No, Weezing does not get it.
Yeah, just double checking because I wasn't sure. Okay. Because that would have been, then that would actually cover the backup default, because that would have been fine as a backup default.
But yeah, this team feels very Aaron core. Lots of defensive or bulky mons, and then some offensive mons, like 1 or 2 offensive mons slapped in there.
It's basically the same team. It's basically a weaker version of what he did in CPL.
Yeah. But yeah, that is Aaron at number 9. Which brings us to Ryan at number 8. Terra captains are Vikavolt, Barraskewda, and then the 3 Terra captains are Flareon and Cramorant. Let's get into the typings. You're missing some importance. You do have a kind of good switch into ghost types with Hydreigon, but be wary of fairy type coverage or fighting type coverage. That's where normal type could be nice. And you don't have a poison type, so T-Spikes are free. Although you do have a lot of monsters that are above the ground, and a metal which doesn't care. So it's better than it looks. And you don't have you don't have a ground type.
That's a bit of a problem.
Because Volt Switch becomes free. Of course, you could run stuff like Terra Ground Vikavolt to stop Volt Switches, but not ideal.
Yeah.
Speed tiers, there's a huge gap between Barraskewda and Hydreigon. A gap you want to avoid as well. There's a good chunk of mons that are very strong in the between 114 and 135, so be careful with that. You do have some priority to balance it out, and obviously a trick remote that works, but still be careful. But yeah, for the offensive core, physically we have Regieleki, Barraskewda, some niche Hydreigon sets, Rillaboom, Flareon, and Melmetal. Especially we have Regieleki again, we have Hydreigon, we have Togekiss, we have Skeledirge, and we have Vikavolt, and even some Slowbro sets. So yeah, offensively this team works very well, especially the Trick Room mode, as mentioned, is very good with Vikavolt and Melmetal being very strong in Trick Room. And then, even then, you still have something like Rillaboom with priority and 2 very fast mons that are good outside of the Trick Room. Then, defensive core. Defensive core is consistent of Slowbro, Melmetal, Vikavolt, Skeledirge, Togekiss. So yeah, pretty good defensive core. Not a lot of weaknesses that they share. The biggest weakness on this team is Rock, and your only switch into that is Melmetal. So be careful with that, because some mons like a Terra, Lycanroc, Dusk that Aaron has will be very, very threatening into you. Because it just needs to put in that close combat to hit the Melmetal, and then hits the rest of your team very hard.
And also a lot of rock types will also have ground coverage as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be really careful with that rock weakness. Ghost, as mentioned before, Hydreigon, your only switch in, can be decent enough, but you have to be wary of fairy or fighting coverage. But yeah, the rest looks pretty fine, honestly. Like the ground, you don't really have a ground weakness. Even if you did, you have grassy terrain, which would nullify it a little bit. And the rest you have enough resistances for. But rock and ghost are like 2 big ones. And then for support, You do have one knockoffer, which is pretty bad. You do have Trick Room support, which obviously helps his team a lot. You have Wish support. Momentum is pretty decent. Removal is pretty decent, but then we get to the hazard setting situation.
The hazards is definitely the weakest part of this team.
You have Rocks on Hydreigon, and Sticky Webs on Vikavolt, that's it.
And honestly, Rocks Hydreigon is not that often run, to be honest. It's kind of more of like it just got that as a new tool in like Gen 9 thing.
It got that in Gen 8, I think, by the way, not Gen 9.
Oh, no, I know. I think it generally got it in Gen 9. Because I've used Hydreigon a lot, and I think he only got it this gen.
Anyways, yeah. So what could be improved? Hazard situation for sure. And close the speed gap between Hydreigon and Barraskewda, please. Otherwise, the team looks pretty good. Can't lie.
Yeah, I think it's a solid team.
Yeah. That is Ryan at number 8. Brings us to number 7, Ida Dam. With the Terra Pokemon Flygon and Tinkaton, and the free ones being Leavanny and Illumise. So, typings-wise, you're only missing Electric and Ice. Electric, not necessary, but nice to have, and Ice, obviously not a necessary typing. Speed tiers, lower tiers look all good, but the higher tiers, you have a big gap between Flygon and Spectre, which you want cleaned up, for sure, because there are some threatening mons between 115 and 129, so be careful with that. Otherwise, pretty decent basics. Offensive core. Physically, we have Mega Aerodactyl, we have Flygon, we have Leavanny, we have Incineroar. Especially, we have Spectrier, we have Primarina, we have Arboliva, and we have Slowking Galar. Especially better than physically, because physically your only standout attacker is Mega Aerodactyl, because the other ones either need setup or offensive item. Especially definitely a lot better, because Prim, Arboliva, and Spectrier can all hit hard from the get-go. Then to the defensive core. The defensive core consists of Corviknight, Primarina, Incineroar, Slowking, and Tinkaton. So a very good defensive core. A few issues is you are pretty fire weak, but you have enough switch-ins. You're pretty ice weak, but again, enough switch-ins. And rock also enough switch-ins. You do have to be careful with rock types though, because one of your rock resistances you Terra out of, and then it's basically only Tinkaton taking the rock moves. So do be careful with that, but otherwise I think the defensive core works very well. And then for the support, hazard support is okay. You would like spikes somehow, of course, just to help the offense click a little more. Only running defog is kind of a minus, because you want obviously to have a spinner to sometimes have your own hazard stay up. And some of your defoggers are also pretty fake, because Flygon and Aerodactyl rarely run defog. Illumise and Corviknight can, and Corviknight is probably the best defogger in the game anyways. But a spinner would be nice. Momentum is pretty good. You have enough momentum clickers on the team. You have bad wish support, but you have it, I guess. You have trick room mode for Arboliva and Slowking Galar, which is pretty nice. You have a good knockoff clicker. So what could be improved? Get a spinner for one. Close the gap between Flygon and Spectrier, and get a spiker.
Yeah, I think it's still a very good team, but we definitely could do with some minor tweaks to improve it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Also, honestly, better Terra captain as well. Like, I would much rather like the Terra on like Arboliva than Tinkaton. I think Tinkaton's still a good one, but honestly, I think it works better on Arboliva.
Yeah, you don't need Terra on Tinkaton. Its typing is good enough, really.
Yeah, Arboliva becomes a fantastic mon with Terra.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that is Ida Dam at number 7. Number 6, we have Riptide. The upside down.
It's the team I've already faced. Their 3 mons are Pyroar, Avalokasui, and Swoobat. So this is a team I've already faced this season in week 1.
Yeah, typings they're missing. They're missing Electric and Ghost. Electric, again, not necessary, but nice to have. And Ghost, Considering fighting is, again, not stab here, you have enough switch-ins to it, and you have enough normal type switch-ins. So, speed tiers are also pretty decent. No big gaps. There's nothing to really mention there with the speed tiers. So, yeah, pretty good all around.
Okay.
Now then, to the offenses. Physically, we have Darmanitan and Galar, we have Gouging Fire, we have Tapu Bulu, we have Scizor, we have Avalokisui. Especially, we have Darkrai, we have Pyroar, we have Empoleon. So physically, a lot better than specially. Especially, you're very reliant on the Darkrai.
So this is something I noticed when I was prepping for this matchup as well. Week 1 is like Swoobat as well can actually with like so students. I will go into like this is very niche stuff, but Swoobat with like one of the because it gets simple. If it gets the if it does the seed thing and then does like starts doing like calm mind boost or store power boost can become a bit of a threat, especially. But that's very niche. But yeah, when I looked at this team when I was prepping for it, I did immediately look at the team and go like, okay, physical offense is a lot better here. So I brought basically, for example, Rotom Fan with Will-O-Wisp just to burn nearly everything.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, right, well, most offense is physical. I'll burn everything and I'll bring like one to a death check. So that kind of opens you up to basically, if you have most of your offense physically, for example, or on one side, it makes it so much easier to counter it if you like prep your team around with a game plan.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely some improvement needed on the special side, but I think the physical side is great.
Physical side is very scary.
Yeah.
Especially Tapu Bulu.
Yeah, defensive core. You have a defensive core of Clodsire, Avalakisui, Empoleon, Scizor, Tapu Bulu, and Gouging Fire, which is a very good defensive core, cannot lie. Obviously, there's some weaknesses to be kept in mind. You are kind of ground weak, but you have grassy terrain to weaken that. You are very fire weak, but you have Gouging Fire to nullify that a little bit. Have to be careful coverage in that case, though. And
this is something I definitely noticed when I was playing them this week with an Iron Moth.
Yeah,
I definitely prep for that. Like that, I will also say this as well. Tapu Bulu, I think actually on this team is better offensively with Terra. I will say Terra can make it good, but I think honestly, offensively is where the Terra shines on it because I'll be honest, head empty, Terra Grass would have a smash, can actually start really causing damage as well on this team.
Yeah. I do think there's one more thing to mention. While there's no fighting types drafted, there's mons with close combat that can Terra into a fighting type. So your fighting type weakness is realer than you think. Because
no, you can't Terra fighting, you can't Terra fighting.
You can't Terra fighting. Okay, well, still,
you can't.
Some mons will just click close combat still, like a Lycanroc Dusk, which is close combat really hurts.
I will say this as well. You also have mons that can have, like, for example, Avalag or Bastidon. They have like body presses that will hit like they are stab. That is another thing as well. Body press on some mons will hit like it's stab.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely be careful with that. Now to the support. Momentum is very good. Knockoff is also pretty good. You have a semi-trick room mode where Zubat can click trick room for the Avalok if needed be, and then it can do some bullshit with its signature move. I forgot what the fuck its name is, but
Mountain
Gale.
Glaive?
Mountain Gale.
That's got 30% flinch chance as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that can be obviously pretty good. Then removal is actually also pretty decent. Like you have some good defoggers and a decent enough rapid spinner. Hazard setting could be a little better, but I think Empoleon Clodsire can do the job most of the time.
I would say Terra makes Avalokisui a real hazard remover. So that's one of the best. There was like certain ones I looked at in the free market. Avalokisui was one I did consider because it becomes a mon with Terra. Like there was a few others as well. Spoilers, they'll come up later. Those ones. Avalokisui was near the top of the list. I was like, actually, that's a really good one because it can basically become a real mon, and you get a free rapid spinner in low tier for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
I will also say as well, one thing we didn't mention defensively, the Spadef side of it they do get hit a lot harder on the Spadef side than they do physical sides.
Yeah, for sure. So, in general, this team would be improved by getting a better secondary special attacker for sure. But in general, I don't think there's a lot to fix about this team. Silvally also patches up a few holes. And this team has...
Yeah, Silvally's a handy mod on this team.
Yeah, so I do think this team works pretty well. But yeah, that is Riptide at number 6. Brings us to number 5. Our PGP captain, Ray, aka Real Blackbeard. With the Terra captains Hydrapple, Steelix, and 3 Terra, Roselia, and Ductrio Lola. Now then, typings-wise, you're only missing Bug and Normal. Bug not important, obviously Normal. Could be important, but you have a Mega T-Tar, which is a good check into Ghost types. Be careful of Focus Blast, though. But yeah, speed tiers also look pretty decent. No big gaps to mention here. The only one that can be some situational is Ductrio to Tapu Koko, but it's not too big. So yeah. Then for the offensive core, physically we have Tapu Koko, Sandforce, Ductrio, Lola. I think that it gets Sandforce. That was. Victini, Lando T, and T-Tar Mega. Especially we have Iron Bundle, we have Coco again, we have Victini again, we have Lando T again, we have Rotom Wash, and Hydrapple. So offensively definitely scary. Physically probably a little better in Specially, but Specially is definitely nothing to slouch at because Bundle with Special Attack Booster in terrain can be a nightmare to deal with.
And Victini hits harder than you would think it does based on its stats.
Yeah, exactly. Then to the defensive core. The defensive core consists of Steelix, Hydrapple, Mega T-Tar, Rotom, Wash, and Landorus. Very good defensive core. Also, no too big weaknesses because you for everything you have some sort of resistance or good check. So nothing to mention here really. Maybe the big part about the defensive core is also part about support because you don't have wish support and the only mon that gets the only defensive mon of yours that gets recovery that is good is Hydrapple because it gets a regenerator. The rest does not get recovery.
Yeah. Does get recovery as well, I think, as well.
Maybe. I'm not quite sure, but yeah.
I'll double check. I should know this because I'm running one this season.
But yeah,
let me just change the move on here.
You have two good knockoffers. You have
it does get recovered, by the way.
Oh, okay, cool. You have a mini trick
so it can recover and regen.
You have a mini trick room mode for Hydrapple and Steelix. You have very good momentum support. Removal is kind of ass because you only have defog, and that means you not only defog away your own hazards, but you also defog away your terrain, so be careful with that. And then, obviously, hazard support. You have lots of rockers, also reliable rockers, but spikes and T-spikes only come from Roselia, which is not the most reliable mon.
I will say this as well. There is some fun synergy with the Mega T-Tar and the Ductrio Alola for niche matchups as well, because it can run like Sandforce in those matchups and actually hit like a truck, especially with Terra. I also think Roselia is also another one of the ones, the low tier ones, the better ones as well, that were an option, because that can actually, even with 100 attack, that can actually hit quite hard. Because if you get Technician, I feel like it does. I'd have to double check.
Yeah, I'm not quite.
It does. No, it doesn't actually. It gets Leaf Guard. Okay, that's an unability. All right, so it doesn't get that, but it's still got 100 special attack. So, and it is also a decent hazard setter as well as a niche option for spikes.
Yeah, pretty decent. Pretty decent to good team support. Could definitely be a little improved, obviously with a spinner and a wisher, but I think the team works well. I've played it already as well, so I do know this team works well. But yeah, that is Ray at number 5. At number 4, we have Jay Fuka. With the Terra capsules of Gyarados, Delphox, and the free ones of Probopass Persian.
I love Probopass on it. I love Probopass as an option as well, like with the free Terra, just because it has some very fun niche stuff it can do.
Yeah. Let's get into the typings and the basics. You're missing Electric, Ice, and Ghost. Electric, as mentioned oftentimes before, not important but nice to have. Ice, not important. Ghost, in this situation, you have enough normal type switches and even fighting type switches to not be an issue for you. Speed tiers. Speed tiers look pretty good until you realize there's a little bit of a gap between Samurott Hisui and Delphox. And your highest speed tier is Persian.
Yeah. Which, being real, is not coming often.
Yeah, so effectively your highest speed tier is 110. Which is definitely an issue for you. So mons that are faster than 110 will be monsters into you, so be careful with that. Then to the offensive core physically. We have Ogerpalm, we have Samurott Hisui, we have Gyarados, we have Mega Scizor, and Donphan, and even some niche Mux sets. And especially we have Latios, we have Delphox niche Samurott sets, and Sylveon. Physically, again, better than Specially, because Specially it's a lot reliant on Latios and Delphox, which are both Psychic types, so you have to be careful with that, with Pursuit especially being allowed. Delphox can Tera, Latios cannot, so be careful.
Yeah, I will say this as well. As someone who's used Samurott more and more as Gen 9's gone on, there is matchups where you will run mix more often than you think. I've never run actually special attack in Samurott, but there has definitely been some matchups where I've tacked on a random Ice Beam or I've tacked on a random Air Slash because Air Slash gets sharpness boosted.
Yeah, exactly. So you have this niche stuff, but straight up hard-hitting special offense is just Latios and Delphox. So be careful. Because Sylveon is more of a defensive team piece on this team, but I will get into that later.
Yeah.
With later, I mean right now, because for the defensive core, we have Donphan, Probopass, Muk, Sylveon, Mega Scizor. Pretty good defensive core. You do have to be careful though, because most of your defensive core is not taking ground type hits well. You do have Gyarados, which is a Tera Pokemon, so be careful. So sometimes you don't have the immunity anymore. And outside of that, you have Ogerpon, which can take 1 or 2 EQs, and obviously Latios, which is levitating. So a little careful around the ground type weakness of your defensive core specifically, but otherwise I would say it's pretty decently defensively. Again, Sylveon is a huge piece of the defensive side, especially on the Spidef side, because it's the best Spidefmon outside of like Probopass. Because Probopass is not that reliable. And a thing that also really helps this team is the support Sylveon provides as well. Because the Wish support helps Muk, it helps Donphan, it helps Probopass, it helps something like Samurott Hisui get HP back. Which is all very nice. Even like the Gyarados getting some HP back if you use it more of a breaker set. So, and if Sylveon can't fit Wish, Delphox can, which is also pretty cool because people forget Delphox gets Wish and its HP set is not too bad.
I'll also say this as well, because there will be some matches where he can get away with bringing offensive Sylveon. And I'll tell you one more that really does help with that. Probopass, because Probopass gets Magnet Pull.
Yep.
And Probopass could also basically body press and hit like it's stab. So Probopass is a very handy support mod. Or you can even run like Terra Ground Earth Power as well and do some more right damage if you need it to as well. So there is options regarding that. That helps quite a lot as well. And also frees up getting rid of Seal types for Latios as well in some matchups.
Yeah, definitely. We also have every mon that gets knockoff clicks it pretty good. You have a niche Trick Room mode for Donphan. Wish support, obviously, momentum support is good. Removal is pretty decent as well because Donphan is a good spinner. Mega Scizor can slap on defog, and Latios in the most niche situations can too. Hazard setting is a little weak because I feel like one more hazard setter would be pretty good on this team because Probopass again is not coming that often. Then it falls to Donphan and Ogerpalm basically. But yeah,
Right.
I do like this team a lot. Jfuka is definitely a good drafter. Like you cannot take that away from him. His drafts always end up pretty good.
Yeah, honestly, to be fair, because I regularly when Jessica's drafting, we regularly chat to each other. Like it'll be me and Sully and Riptide all chatting as well, and it's why a lot of my drafts most of the time, ignoring CPL this season, are good drafts. It's because I chat with him a lot. I chat with them, I laser them, and double check with guys as well. Jessica's very good at basically getting them on and then just going and then basically playing out right from there. Right, okay, now I want this, and then we also readjusting as well when things get sniped.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's Jfuka's team at number 4. At number 3, we have Lillian Official. Roy, why don't you start us off with the basics?
So there are 3 Mons on this team, Lapras and Buffalon. Two very good basic Mons. Lapras especially has niches. Type-wise, the only type they are missing is Bug type, which, being honest, not really needed. Their terrors are also Glamora and Decidueye, two very solid terrors. I will say that, that's good. Okay, perfect. Okay, and then going on to their speed tiers, there is what looks like a bad gap between Glamora and Mega Gardevoir, but if I remember correctly, I think there's no mon that actually can run Adamant or Monitor between those two.
Yeah, no,
Iron Tread.
There's no real gap
there.
there.
Yeah, Iron Treads and Meowscarada have a slight gap, but there's probably only going to be a couple of mons in between. So the basics are pretty good on this team. Like, they've even got slow mons for other teams running Trick Room as well. Oh my god, why did Meow get Trick Room? That's weird. But okay. I will say there's a bit of a fighting weakness again, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's no fighting
weakness.
stab.
Yeah. Offensively, very good. Talonflame can run offensive sets as well. You've got Meowscarada, Iron Tread, Dragonite. You've got Decidueye, which can with Terror run niche sets as well. Raging Bolt can also run Body Press, which actually Raging Bolt can do surprising stuff with actually physical stuff as well on some niche matchups. Buffalon as well can hit very hard, especially. You've got Mega Gardevoir that hits like a truck. You've got Glamora that hits like a truck, especially with Terror. Dragonite has some niche sets. Decidueye has some niche sets. Raging Bolt hits like a truck as well. And I'll say this, Meow in the right situation has a very surprisingly good special move pool as well, especially if it's fighting a flying fire type.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
to the defensive core. The defensive core consists of Iron Treads, Decidueye, Lapras, Buffalon. So the defensive core definitely has some issues. Obviously, Raging Bull can be somewhat defensive, but if you look at it on the perspective of how many mons can you run fully defensive and it's viable, it's basically Iron Treads, Decidueye, Buffalon. And sometimes Lapras, I guess, because it can Terra. So defensively, there's definitely some issues. As Roy has mentioned before, there is a big fighting type weakness. Although there's no fighting type stab, you do have enough switch-ins, but the big weakness is also ice. You have a Lapras, but sometimes you just cannot fit the Lapras in. It will come against specific matchups like the Iron Bundle matchup, for example, but it cannot come like in every matchup where there is an ice type, or you just sometimes fuck yourself in team build.
Yeah, if you're having to bring Lapras at every matchup, that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. There's also the big problem of Lapras being your only water type, which I don't like. If you get a low tier water type, it's Lapras or Walrein probably. But like the issue is just like it's not the most reliable water type. It's a low tier for a reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, and on to the support. Hazard support is very good. Cannot complain. Glamora, Treads, and Meowscarada do the job very well. Removal is also pretty good. You have a reliable spinner and 2 good defoggers and one shitty defogger in Dragonite. Momentum is also very good. Knockoff, you also have a lot of reliable knockoff clickers and some monsters obviously do not click knockoff. You have Trick Room, but no real abuser except for Buffalon, and that's not really the best abuser. And then you have shitty Wish support, which is kind of an issue here because most of your defensive mons do not get recovery, except for Decidueye. I will mention Talonflame support is very underrated with like fast Will-O-Wisp and stuff. And there's like pranks and stuff Liepard can do. But generally, Wish support would be very appreciated on this team.
Yeah, because Megard is not really a Wisher.
Yeah.
It's just not the whole way. I'm using Megard at the moment. I don't think I would run Wish on it very often. There'd be very few matchups I'd be actually running it.
Yeah, but in general, Lillian's team is very good. I think it's a very balanced team. And also some good choices of low tiers that fit the team. What would I change? Maybe get a more reliable water type than Lapras, but I get why Lapras was chosen here in this situation. But yeah, that's number 3, Lillian official. Which brings us to number 2, the small Olive, aka has abandoned D&D because they suck.
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in my child, I'm not going to lie. I expect better from them. Actually, both my children, because Amelia also abandoned D&D.
Yeah. Terra Captains are Cleaver and Vaporeon, and free ones are Lurantis, Alcremie, and Altaria. Typings wise, we're only missing Psychic, which is a non-important type, so no issue there. Speed tiers look pretty good. There is a gap between Lando and Weavile that is quite kind of important, but just you will have to be careful around that. Outside of that, it looks pretty good, honestly.
Then their three mons are their three mons are Lurantis, Alcremie, and Altaria.
Yeah, I've mentioned that.
Which means
Terra Captains.
I will say this: their fairy type being Alcremie is a bit of a weakness because it's not the best fairy.
Yeah. But I feel like Lurantis is a pretty good 3-point pickup. I can't lie. Like in some situations,
I rate that as a pickup. I think Altaria is a good pickup as well. Altaria has actually got like quite. We'll get to that in support. I think Altaria is quite a decent one as well as a supporter.
Yeah. Now to the offense. Physically, we have Weavile, we have Landorus, we have Cleavor, we have Lurantis, and I guess we have Zeraora. And especially we have Landorus, we have Porygon-Z, we have Heatran, we have Vaporeon, Alcremie, Lurantis again, because Contrary is just a thing, and some niche Petron sets as well.
I would say Petron does count because Nasty Plot is becoming more and more of a common set, and whilst it does need set up to do it, it can, especially if you spread like status around, which Smoliv is a hacker, so they love doing that.
Yeah. Onto the defensive core. The defensive core is a little bit weaker than the offensive core, but not bad. You have a defensive core of Heatran, Vaporeon, Altaria, Petarant. So not a bad defensive core per se, but pretty ground weak as the main defensive core because while you can use Lando or Altaria to switch into ground moves, Lurantis as well. Lurantis and Altaria are not coming that often, and then your only real ground type switching is Lando. So you do have to be careful with that situations where a ground type has something to hit the Lando super effectively. And now to the support, where the wish support from the Vaporeon is actually pretty good for Heatran. Petron doesn't really need it, but Heatran does appreciate it a lot. Momentum support is decent. Could be better though with the offensive momentum, but you have some like passive momentum in Baton Pass. You have good knockoff clickers. You have Parting Shot as well. You only have Defog, which is a minus, and you only have Rocks, which is also a minus. While you have Cleavor, which is basically automatic rocks, and you don't have to run rocks on a Heatran or Lando sometimes, having a Spiker or a T-Spiker would be very appreciated.
Agreed.
In general, what would I change about this team? Get a Rapid Spinner that can also set up spikes, maybe.
Yeah. I think that would actually, honestly, a Rapid Spinner would be very good, especially with Terra Cleavor, because you want it to basically set. I will say this as well, that having Alcremie as your fairy type does leave you a bit weak, but Vaporeon can be a defensive fairy when you need it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but that's Smoliv at number 2. Which gets us to number 1, and if you have paid attention, you know who comes here. The gambler himself, Mr. Roy Mustang.
I have to say, being number 1 in BTL PRs and being number 16 in CPL PRs is quite funny.
Yeah, that is actually pretty funny. Why don't you go ahead and glaze a little bit about your team?
Yeah, because I did actually message you the other day. I think I messaged you as I battled Riptide, and I was just like, yeah, I think legitimately this might be one of the best teams I've drafted in a long time because I think it actually is. So I'll get to it at the end of that bit as well. So we'll start with the basics, and what you can see is we don't have a grass type, but I don't really need a grass type. I've got two levitate mons, and I've got a flying type as well. So ground is not that much of a problem, and no one's drafted Psyguard from memory. I have 2 steel types, which is quite handy. Was one Dying Crown, which is not the best steel type. I am a bit weak to dark moves. That's the only thing I don't like. I have got a dark type, and my fairy type isn't weak. Is actually weak. Is neutral 2 at that. I've got a normal type as well, which is quite handy here as well. No bug type as well. I've just noticed. Speed tier wise, quite good speed tiers. The only slight weakness is the gap between Aerodactyl and Iron Moth, but that's fine. But the rest of it just slowly goes down, and I even got Mons that can answer a Trick Room mode. My Terra Captains are Haxorus, Rotom Fan, and my free ones are Haunter and Bastiodon. And legitimately, I think those two are two of the best free ones you could get. And I'll explain why for different reasons. We'll start with offensive core. Physically, I've got Aerodactyl that can hit harder than you think it can. Terra Haxorus, which is like a nuclear bomb if I get it in right positions. You got Mimikyu that can hit with setup. Terrapagos has niche sets it can do. Tinglu in niche matchups it can do as well. Bastiodon can also run body press, and coming off 168 defense, it hits harder than you think it does. Especially, Iron Moth is a nuke. Iron Crown is very good, especially attacking as well. Haunter with Terra can hit a lot harder than you would think it does. Rotom Fan can also do the same with Terra. Terrapagos is a great setup sweeper in endgame. So my offense is quite good. It's not the most potent offense, and I see why Ben's rated it at 7 as well. But the reason why I like my offense is because of my defensive core. And this is why I think the team really shines. You've got Iron Crown that can be a bit defensive if I need it to. Mimikyu can always live one hit as well. Rotom Fan with Terra especially can live hits. Terrapagos is guaranteed to live one hit unless you're a Mold Breaker Mon. And even then, you're probably going to need close combat with Stab. And no one's got Stab on that. And then we've got the Wish Fish itself. That thing is unkillable if you play it right. And I'm very good with regen degen. Tinglu, the bulkiest motherfucker alive. And Bastiodon as well with Terra. If I get out of its 4 times weaknesses, that is a very good defensive Mon. That was a 3-point Mon as well. And then we get to support. And this is why I like the team as well, because the idea behind the team is when I was drafting it was I wanted a really good defensive base and then nukes. So that's why I went Terrapagos first, because I was actually going to ice types. And I actually decided no, Terrapagos is better because there's no slab fighting. And it's always going to live a first hit, but it's going to be hard to get off the second hit, and I can set up with it. Tinglu was hazards and super bulky and a great dark type. Iron Moth gave me a special nuke. Aloe just gave me healing because Aloe supports this team so much as well, because Tinglu does not get healing. Bastion does not get healing. Rotom Fan gets pain split, but it rather wish support. Even stuff, I can even get reappear my Terra Shell as well if I need to in certain matchups. I can even heal up stuff like Iron Crown or Haxorus to go for another attempt to sweep you, or Iron Moth, which can take a special hit as well if I need to in a pinch. I then got also as well decent hazards as well. Tinglu just sets up hazards for fun. I've also got backup options in Terrapagos. If I want to bring rocks, I want to bring rocks on Bastiodon. If I bring Bastiodon, I can bring rocks on that. Aerodactyl, if I want to do a Suicide League, can bring rocks as well. My removal isn't the best. I ain't going to deny that. Rapid Spin is great on Terrapagos, and it runs it most weeks. And I've got backup defog on Rotom Fan and Aerodactyl, which can do it as well. The pivoting, it could be better, it could be worse. I've also got Toxic Spikes and Haunter and Iron Moth, so they'll bring those occasionally as well in the right matchups. But yeah, the entire idea behind the team is, and I built it with this in mind, is the idea behind the team is I will slowly chip you down until I get and then I'll just get my attacking pieces in position and then just go and just nuke through. That is the idea of the team. It will slowly whittle you into place and nuke through.
Yeah. Honestly, not much else I can say. You've basically ran down your whole team right there.
Yeah, this is honestly the best part of this team as well is I was not planning this team out as I made it. This is why I feel quite proud of this draft, because I was quite busy doing this draft as well. I was I was just going one piece at a time. I was like, right, okay. And I got to pick 4. I was like, oh, I've been talking about wanting to try Terra Haxorus again. I want to try Terra Haxorus. And I was like, right, I need a steal. And I was like, I found quite offensive. It's not my normal type of steal, but I'll grab it. And then Sully was to me was like, oh, I remember the 3 points thing. I was like, fuck, I better grab Haunter now, because I saw Penis grabbing all the 3 pointers. I was there like, right, I'm grabbing Haunter now before Penis grabs it, because I want Haunter. That is not one I will actually bring to games. And then Aerodactyl was because I needed speed. Bastiodon was like, well, fuck it, that's the best 3-pointer. That's the best low tier one left. That can come. Rotom Fan covered a lot of my weaknesses, and Mimikyu covered a lot of my weaknesses as well. So it proves that you don't need to plan out your draft. You can do it as you go.
Yeah, honestly,
but yeah, I
everything covered.
And this is a very much a Roy team. This is a team I know how to use as well. So if I don't make playoffs with this team, I'm truly washed.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this was the BTL PRs. Sully is a freak.
a massive freak. He loves money milkers.
Yeah. And somehow
Pate can confirm.
And he has not joined his own league somehow. Anyways,
He's
Roy,
a coward. He's scared.
anything you want to add to the end of this episode?
I just want to add that Pate also agrees that Sully is a freak, and that I'm looking forward to playing with this team. This is one of my favorite teams. It proves I can still actually draft good teams. Also, last time I drafted a team that was number 1 in PRs, I came 16th. So here we go.
Here we go. Exactly. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a good season in BTL, and most of all, remember, have fun and don't be joners. We were the Clodcast, and we wish you all a good time. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.